Hey everyone, it's PJ.
And Jake.
This podcast is about alcohol.
And the consumption of alcohol.
Therefore, this show is not recommended for anyone under the legal drinking age.
We also encourage our listeners to always drink responsibly.
And never get behind the wheel of a vehicle while intoxicated.
And now, on to the show.
Welcome to the Boozatory. Class is now in session.
Hello, we're back. Boozatory's here. We got a good one. I'm excited. We got a hell of a day. PJ's here. Hi, PJ.
How's it going, Jake?
It's going good. We got a heck of a day. We're taping this podcast, and then I'm gonna go tape another podcast, and you're gonna go to a bar event, and we're gonna just be all over the place today.
Yeah, my whole next few days is kind of nuts.
And you had quite the night. Also,
Yeah, I had a wonderful night after closing the bar out in the suburbs. I drove up here to the city, and I bounced around to a couple of the local bars here by our apartment, and I've become friends with a couple of the owners. When you kind of work in this industry and you're friends with the owners of bars, you just walk in and it's an instant party, and they just start handing you drinks, and they want to kind of pick your brain about things, which is awesome. But it means that, you get a lot of product really fast. They're wanting kind of high-level commentary on it. I'm just trying to get a drink. Which, don't get me wrong, I love it. But last night was one of those nights where I was like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to drink. And I'm going to drink heavier than I normally do because I can walk to all of these bars from the apartment.
Yeah.
And it only is a 5-minute walk. It's great.
That's it. And we're going to get to everyone in a second, but it's everyone at this table has had a long night, and mine was not in that. I was out drinking. I was asleep by 10:45.
Puss.
But at one point, in maybe 3-4 in the morning, I don't know, I fell out of bed, and at the moment I hit the ground, I farted. So I just kind of forgot what life was for a moment. So that's my rough night.
You were just reduced down to a character. You were just reduced down to a Family Guy sub character.
Yeah.
I hit boom. Am I dead? What happened? That was my night.
It's like when a dog wakes itself up with its own farts.
Yeah, I think that actually happens to Peter in a Family Guy episode, and it's just a little fart joke in the middle of the episode. I'm sure that happens somewhere. They've got 45 seasons or something like that.
Yeah, and speaking of some voices you just heard, we have our first episode with return guests. I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too.
This was not a necessity at all.
Yeah. You may remember that voice from the Vodka 101 episode. Tim Nemec's here.
Hi.
Tim, why are you here?
Why aren't I? Well,
mostly because he also lives here.
I'm a creature of convenience. I think is maybe the best way I can describe myself.
Yeah, pretty much. We had some availability for a taping open up, and I needed a comic that I knew would be punctual, and I was like, who better than the one that lives here?
Yeah, the one in the next room.
Yeah. And let me tell you a fun story about how that almost didn't happen because of what I did last night.
Tell us what you did last night, Tim.
Oh, I was mentally, emotionally, and physically abused all in one evening. I saw Crazy Rich Asians last night, and that fucked me up.
It did?
Oh, yeah.
Why?
It was literally just a normal rom-com, but just seeing an all-Asian cast get their jush was awesome. But then at the moment the couple is at odds because I'm sad and lonely. I'm like, this is how it ends for me too. So then I went out with a friend of mine. We went to Boys Town where the liver abuse began. And then on my way home this morning, on my bi-weekly walk of shame, I got in an Uber pool and there was a hot firefighter. So I just had to make a lot of realizations about myself as a person and understand that wasn't going to happen.
Wait, he was in the pool with you?
Yeah, I got picked up.
Nice.
And I was like, okay, well, this is only going to be
God, I pray for that, all the time.
Yeah, that almost never happens.
That never happens.
It never happens. But here's the thing. When it does, you don't know what to do. Because one, I don't know if this guy is gay. And two, he's a firefighter. If he doesn't like me.
Boys Town?
No, I was all the way in South Loop.
Oh, I was about to say, if this is in
Yeah.
Boys Town, he might have not been an actual firefighter.
I
This may have also been his walk of shame coming home from work.
would have been 100% okay with that.
See, that's the thing they don't. I forget which. I think it's my buddy Kyle. He's got a joke because I drive Lyft. He used to drive Uber. And he said, what they don't tell you is that when you start driving, the amount of finger banging that happens in your car ups by like tenfold.
Yeah.
Why does my back seat smell so fishy?
I'm just saying, Jake, 10 times of 0 is still 0.
Yeah, so far, fingers crossed. But speaking of other
Fingers banged.
Okay.
You may have also heard another familiar voice. PJ, take it away. Who do
This
we have
is
here?
the wonderful Miss Bridget Kennedy from episode 1.
Hello.
Good to have you back, Bridget.
And I'm a creature of inconvenience. Everybody late today.
That's okay.
It's all good. No, Bridget is one of my wonderful wine and spirits reps for the restaurant that I work with. We've been trying to set up this episode for a while now, and our schedule's been kind of incompatible. And I was like, you know what? Let's do this episode where we start drinking at 11 a.m.
Yep. Hello.
Because that's the only availability we have right now.
Yeah. So, and we are talking about wine today. And Bridget, you said in episode 1 that's kind of your forte is wine.
I'm a wine chick.
All right.
Yeah, I do sell booze, but I actually count on a lot of my great customers like PJ to teach me along the way.
Nice.
Because that was never my forte.
Yeah, so I actually met Bridget along with one of our other previous guests, Miss Chio Takamoto, who both worked very closely together. And so Chio's more of the spirits end of things and introduced me to a lot of the wonderful products that Bridget had in her portfolio. And then we all got to kind of learn those products together. It was really kind of a wonderful experience getting to meet both of them. And so now we're all here and we're doing a podcast, and that's scary. It's,
Who knows where we'll be in a few years, right?
yeah.
Hopefully still doing
chance
this.
meetings that create wonderful new things.
Yeah. But no, we are talking about wine, and I'll start with you, Tim. You said you are not a wine drinker, so we're converting you.
I'm a horrible homosexual. That is one of the stereotypes I don't subscribe to. I've never had a wine I liked
Yet.
yet. The ones I have had have been like in my mind when someone's like, "Oh, it's made from grapes," I'm like, "Grape juice," and then I drink it. I'm like, "What the fuck is this?"
See, I hate grape juice.
Yeah.
I hate grape juice.
Oh yeah, well,
Same.
Obviously, I love wine.
after a certain point, I feel like every time you have grape juice, it just tastes like cough medicine
Ugh.
too.
For me, grape juice just tastes like wine without the alcohol, and that's
What's
like
the point?
that's like drinking decaf coffee.
Yeah.
My first wine experience was just last year. I had not gotten to it.
I like that you're like treating it like a book. Like I
Yeah.
bought it a while ago, but I just haven't opened it.
Right. No, so it was last Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving for me is a minefield. I hear a lot of stuff. And I'm like, oh Jesus, why is this talk? What? That's a real thought you have,
Yeah.
Uncle.
I think we can all definitely relate to sitting at the table around the family and holidays and just going, how are you related to me? We think completely different.
So it was this past Thanksgiving. One of my cousins is now a woke little college girl, so she took the reins on it and was firing shots at everybody for their thoughts. And I just got to kick back. It was
It
the
didn't have
best.
to be you this time.
It was the best Thanksgiving ever. Oh, but so what happened is they had a few bottles of Riesling, which I was like, oh, I'm just gonna put these down and drank it like it was water. And
Yep. Riesling is definitely a wine that you can sit down and just drink
I
an
put
entire
my-
bottle pretty quickly.
I put my hand on that cousin's shoulder. I was like, listen, it's a hard road you're going down, but it's necessary and noble, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
It's amazing.
And then I kept drinking. But no, Riesling is more of a white wine, but we are starting with a red wine. What do we have in front of us here?
So I will hand this over to Miss Bridget to kind of let us know all about this wonderful wine she's brought for us today.
Well, and as opposed to focusing on the brand, I'd like to just discuss the regions of the varietal. So, Pinot Noir is a very terroir-driven varietal. What that means is that where it is grown and how it is grown drastically affects the flavor profile of the wine.
Mhm.
So we have different regions. They originated in Burgundy, right? So France, that's going to be much more savory, and they have an old school method of making Pinot Noir. They use hands, they don't use mechanized tools, things of that nature. So what you're going to get because of the region, we're looking at grapes that are controlled by the climate, very much so, because it is so drastic in Burgundy, right? So warmer years will yield more fruit-driven grapes, just like when you think of the ripeness of a fruit. It's much sweeter when it's, when it's riper. And so warmer. Ooh, sorry. Don't do that. I'm clicking my pen in the microphone. I just got death look. So
All of us that have headsets on just stared at her very
Like,
intently.
I don't give a shit. I'm like, that's a quirk I did.
No,
I always do that too when I'm talking.
I'm really bad about it myself.
I held off because I've been guilty in this of a past
No,
episode.
please just sling it at me.
It's
know?
okay.
So at any rate, so what we're drinking right now is a California Pinot Noir, and the differences between California, they grow Pinot Noir in so many different regions. It's really hard to make a generalization about a California Pinot. Typically what you're going to get are smokier qualities because of the terroir. There's a lot more sunshine, cooler evenings, which yields bigger, juicier grapes. You're going to have more of an extracted flavor. Somebody who wants a very big, higher alcohol, American type of wine, that's where you're going to get your California. And then we also have Oregon, which is kind of like a cross between Burgundy and California because it has a lot of the flavor characteristic of a California. It's going to be bigger, smokier, but at the same time, it is a little more savory, like a classic Burgundian style.
Yeah, I recently actually did a tour of a city winery here in Chicago last week, and got to speak with the head of their program there. He worked with his first vineyard that he worked with was from Oregon, and they are a very classic European style, like Burgundy style Pinot family. Their family actually came from France to Oregon, and he worked with them for several years. And listening to kind of how he described Oregon-based wine versus everywhere else is really interesting, because Oregon can be both this trendsetter of like the new emerging thing in wine, but they still draw very heavily on classical European styles.
And it's arguably one of the best New World regions
absolutely.
for Pinot Noirs.
And well, what we're learning right now is that with the temperature changing, everyone's having to look at, oh God, we can't grow wine grapes where we've been growing them for hundreds of years. Right now, everyone's buying land in Vancouver to grow vineyards. So what they're saying is, but in like 50 years, champagne won't be able to be made in France anymore. They'll have to make it in Canada.
So did you hear that, world? Global warming is ruining your wine.
Changing it.
Yeah, it's
Changing
not
it.
ruining it. It is changing it.
But it is true. I mean, from what I've heard, that in 50 years, they're expecting for Seattle to have the same temperature climate as
California.
California.
France is right now looking north of the channel. They're looking at putting vineyards in Scotland and looking at putting vineyards in different parts of England, and it's.
I feel like that might be like a weird like culture dichotomy too. I mean, when a lot of your identity as a culture, especially like from an alcohol standpoint, relies on that, to then effectively have to outsource your culture that way.
Considering that the styles of wine are named after the area.
After the area, right?
Like Champagne is named after Champagne, France, and you're going to grow it in Vancouver, Canada.
It's going to be Vancouver.
Doesn't
Drinking
sound
some
cute.
Vancouver.
Yeah.
Now I got a question. First off, this tastes great. It's not as it doesn't hit you as hard as I thought it was. But also, my first red wine experience was like a month ago, where I just chugged from a jug of Carlo Rossi on stage.
Oh no.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
Why did you hate
It
yourself?
was the Carlo Rossi Sangria too.
No, it was the sweet red. I thought about the sangria.
no.
Basically the same thing.
I was on a date at Cooper's Hawk, which is a whole, it's like, that is something I'm very against, being in the, The food at Cooper's Hawk is pretty good, actually. I will give them that, but I'm not a big fan of the wine. However, this date that I was on, this guy was drinking the sweet red. He said, oh, try it, and I didn't know what it was, and I stuck my nose in the glass, and I I'm such a snob, though. But it smelled like grape juice. I just can't understand why somebody would even make it, but that's me.
That'll do it. And my thing is, like, with red wine, I just on TV that I've seen, is you're supposed to be looking for something, like a sediment.
A sediment?
Yeah, is that, am I wrong?
Not in New World. You're typically not going to.
Yeah, you're talking about when people spin the wine around the glass and they hold it up to the light.
And there's shit at the bottom.
Well, that's not what they're looking for. They're looking at the edge of the glass, and you're going to see the wine start to run down the sides in these little droplets, and they call those legs. And they're basically looking at the viscosity of the wine. And they're looking at, the alcohol content will tell you. The more alcohol, the more it's going to stick to the edge of the glass.
Okay. So this one's not...
So if it's leggy...
Yeah. So if it's got legs
for the buck,
yeah,
the way Americans like it.
Yeah. If it's got legs for days.
I'd say my high-end Cabernet right now by the glass is 15.3% alcohol from California.
Oh.
It's delicious and jammy and wonderful. It surprises people when they have two glasses and suddenly they are feeling it.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're describing the viscosity as jammy.
Yeah. Well, I mean... So jammy isn't necessarily viscosity. I mean, it can be, but this is it's more so the fruit contribution to it. It's very big and bold and jammy, and it's a weird way to kind of describe wine to people who don't drink wine very often. But when you sit down and you have a jammy Cabernet and one that is not jammy, you start to understand the difference is very very noticeable.
Mm-hmm.
So my thing is like just kind of what are like the basic reds you're going to come across as far as the categories go?
The basic varietals that you're going to come across. So on a typical wine list, you're going to find a Cabernet,
okay,
a Merlot, Pinot Noir, a Zinfandel, maybe a Petite Syrah if they're getting fancy, but the American varietals, those are the staples. Did I miss anything?
As far as American varietals, Pinot Noir, Merlot, Syrah, Zinfandels, red blends.
Red blends are huge. Because of the versatility of it.
I love red blends personally.
You know what? Like if you're buying a bottle of wine for a party, red blend
every
is
time
always a solid choice because you know that it's going to keep everybody happy.
One of the interesting things that I learned recently about red blends is when you make, say, a Pinot Noir, it's all about whatever that grape gives you. With a red blend, you're actually getting to control more of what that wine's going to taste like.
You're in charge.
You as the winemaker are in charge now of that taste. Where with, say, a Pinot Noir like we're drinking now, the grape is in charge.
Yeah. So with a red wine, what you're saying is that it's not the grape, it's the grape, not the process, or it is the process?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
But the grape is king.
Okay. Because it's just wine always fascinating me, and it's like, how are you getting two entirely different feels, tastes, textures out of something that's technically the same fucking fruit?
Well, and that's kind of where we were branching off to in the sense that I started off slowly. Sorry, it was a long night last night. But okay, let me get back on track here. When we're talking about terroir, right? I mean, Pinot is grown in France. It's grown in California, Oregon, New Zealand. Is my sound okay?
Yeah.
You're giving me that look again.
No, you're good.
Okay, Australia, and then like South Africa, some great stuff coming out of there. But then also Paul Hobbs, who is one of the most renowned winemakers in the world globally, he's starting a winery in Finger Lakes. And we're getting some Pinot Noirs and Rieslings out of the Finger Lakes that are really great quality. But people are like New York.
Yeah. So Finger Lakes are in New York. For
for
people who aren't aware of
where
where
the geographically challenged.
But it's got a cool climate, in Canada, we grow a lot of Riesling, and Pinot Noir is actually, just the climate and terroir up there is optimal.
Finger Lakes just makes me think of that Fred Armisen, Lawrence Welks. That's it. Thank you.
Oh gosh.
I thought you were gonna go salad fingers.
No. No,
we started off talking about fingers and
full circle.
Yeah,
so
we made it all the way back.
Tim, as a non-wine drinker, how are you feeling with this?
Oh, I have no idea.
Oh, you haven't drank it yet?
No, I have, but I've been like slowly sipping on it.
As you should.
They're like, well, because like I can smell how fermented like it is, and that's not a smell I'm accustomed to. I'm an absolute wimp where most of the drinks I like drink in general are always very sweet. So to have like a dry,
Well, in full disclosure, I opened this one on Thursday. So it's open. You know, if we just opened the bottle, it would have a much more smoky quality, bigger.
Get some charred beans.
Yeah, you'd get hit in the face with the alcohol right away. But it's been opening, so it's different.
And in Tim's defense, like you like the gay bar scene. It's like kind of vodka's king.
yeah,
In a way.
So
but there's a place that you go to that I've been to that does a frosé. Ooh, baby.
oh yeah, if you want gross novelty alcohol, you get the
That's not
frosés.
drinking wine per se.
That is not at all.
Per se,
Mhm.
I should say.
No, I think my wine experience up to this point has been champagne on major holidays.
Which is legit.
Which is legit.
heck.
I got throw up drunk on poutine and 2 bottles of champagne this past New
Poutine and
Year's.
champagne?
It was not great.
Well, see, here's the beauty of champagne. You can drink it with
Anything,
anything.
exactly.
It's fantastic. It goes with everything.
Mhm.
I mean, when I was in college, I remember I went to Hooters with my parents, and they used to have a Dom Perignon and 50 wing special. And we were like, let's do it. And so we drank
A bottle of champagne
Dom
and
Perignon
50 wings.
and hot wings, and it was delightful.
Yeah, that actually,
It was
it makes
delicious.
sense.
That sounds like an award-winning
The
combination.
acidity of
Yes,
champagne cuts
cuts-
straight through
yeah.
that heat. And it's
Yeah,
bubbly.
And who doesn't love a mimosa in the morning? You know?
pretty much.
Not a big fan.
Yeah.
Pussy.
You'd rather just drink it straight.
Yeah.
Fair
Well, it
enough.
depends on what you're drinking, right?
Right,
If you
yeah.
have cheap,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with me, orange juice just has so much sugar in it. I am not a sugary drink person.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's just like adding sweet to sweet. I don't feel like it's a balanced cocktail.
Yeah. Well, if anything, it's like simultaneously like overpowered in that sweetness, but no, a way sometimes can cancel it out. Like, you know how like sometimes like you eat like chocolate and then you like go to drink like a Coke after and you basically just taste carbonated water
Yeah.
kind of thing. Like I feel like that's kind of an issue you run into with mimosas. But typically where I go, they're bottomless, so I don't complain about free.
Fair enough. Now, the next question I have
Mhm.
is with like terms you hear a lot with wine, or just that I have heard, is like dry
Yeah.
and I guess wet. I'm just thinking the antithesis of dry.
Man, this wine is so wet. This is a wonderful
It's a
wet
wet
wine.
wine.
You're gonna enjoy this wet
it's
wine.
wet.
Yeah. No, but
I guess then
yeah.
what is the antithesis to dry in terms of wine?
Sweet.
Okay.
Sweet, or sometimes that can be crossed with like jammy as well.
Okay, because it's I assumed it was more of like a mouthfeel thing, and then
it
it's like, oh, this
is.
is a dry white, and I felt that in my mouth. I was like, oh yeah,
So
okay,
dryness is coming from the lack of additional sugar,
okay.
quite often, and so
And higher acidity,
Yeah, higher
minerality, all of those things play in.
and dryness is both how it feels, but it's also how it tastes. It can taste dry and not have a dry mouthfeel,
Mm-hmm.
and it can have a dry mouthfeel and not taste dry.
Because this one does not have like a huge dry mouthfeel.
No, not at all. It's there's a little bit of dryness to it, but it's not. This would not be something I would categorize as a dry Pinot Noir.
Mm-hmm.
Red wines are typically a little more dry than white, but for the most part, this is a very approachable Pinot.
Yeah, no, I'm digging it.
I think one of the things that like as I'm really drinking it more, I think maybe I've run into it with a lot of different alcohols, is that like the flavor doesn't linger for very long, so
Mhm.
it makes it very accessible to like
Yes.
continue to drink.
Yeah, because my whole experience is like my mom keeping like a bottle of white Zin of Sutter Home
Yep.
in the fridge.
Yeah,
and
mama wine.
Getting curious, popping it open, like, oh, that's straight nail polish.
Yeah,
Mom's
my,
dizzy juice.
My mother orders white Zinfandel in the box by the case.
Oh.
I can't even believe they still make it.
Yeah.
Well, and people,
That
you know,
watermelon
if
wine.
we cross into this area, which, you know, we don't want to go too deep into
Yeah.
it, but rosés, you know, people are
Mhm.
confusing that. When I break out a rosé, I can't tell you how many times, if it's not typically with my customers, but with
Mhm.
friends or
Yeah.
someone who
Like,
isn't
oh,
as
white
knowledgeable,
Zinfandel.
they're like, oh, I don't like sweet wines. I'm like, this is not
Not
sweet.
sweet.
And actually,
this is a dry red wine.
And I would make the argument that, you know, for men who don't like pink wine, it's like rosés are actually like a manly white wine because it gets the pink color from sitting with the skin. You cut open a grape that you buy at the store, red grape, it's clear inside, right?
Exactly.
So when you're making a white wine, I mean, Champagne is made with Pinot Noir, Pinot Meunier, and Chardonnay.
Yeah.
2 of those grapes are red, but they remove the skins right away. And so they crush it, get that clear juice out, and they remove the skins.
Yep.
A rosé, it just sits on the skins anywhere between 5 hours, 5 days, or whatever until it gets the
However
quality
long
that
they
they
want
want.
to do it.
But that adds tannin structure into this white wine, which it would not have otherwise. So it is definitely a cultivated, you know,
That
it's not
actually-
the white Zinfandel that you're thinking of.
Yeah, that actually leads me to a good point. Is like just kind of like maybe we should talk about just the basics of wine making.
Yeah,
As
so
to like the process.
cool thing, the color of the wine does not dictate the color of the grape.
Okay, so that's fucking.
That's a process.
What
Mind blown.
the fuck? Okay.
White wines are not technically always made with white grapes. Like we said, the inside of the grape is basically clear. And so it's all about the process with how it's pressed and how they kind of, like I said, process that grape. That's what controls the color. If they want that wine to be darker, they just don't pull the grapes out after they crush them, and they just let it sit on those skins, because the skins are what's dark.
Okay.
And if they want it to be even darker, they just
Add more skin.
Add more skin.
Continue on.
Yeah.
Or if they're
Or
really
barrel
naughty,
age it.
then they'll add purple number 5 into it
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah,
You know, let's
we
not
don't-
talk about that.
Yeah.
But, you know, that is not...
That's neither here nor there.
Yeah, right, exactly. But yes, so that's true. I mean, and so when we're talking about a Pinot Noir from California again, or a Pinot Noir from New Zealand, you know, and we want that bigger body color profile, yes, leaving it on the skins adds tannins. Tannins are, it dries your mouth out, right? So a tannin is the same thing, same experience as you would have if, and we've all done it, even though we don't do it intentionally, but banana peels. That grittiness that you get from a banana peel. Or if you eat seeded grapes, the seeds, if you ever bite into the seed inside of a grape, boom, that dries your mouth out immediately. So that's where tannins come from, and that is found predominantly in red wines. I mean, I can't really think, besides rosés, many white wines that have
I mean, they
tannins unless
they
it sits with
exist.
us.
Yeah.
But
There's few and far between.
stereotypically, it's with red wine. And so that is sometimes confused with the dryness that we were talking about. It dries your mouth out, but it's not
overpowering.
But it's not the dryness. The dryness, when we describe it as being dry, that's contributed by the winemaking process.
Okay.
So I
Alcohol
have
content.
a question then, you know, because I feel like when it comes to a big staple of wine is pairing it with food. So
My favorite topic in the world.
So it's one of those things where it's like I feel like I see a lot of reds paired with like more flavorful, like whole bodied foods. Is it because of that reason that it kind of like
That's an awesome question.
with it like drying out that you have a better flavor profile?
Yes. So when I do wine pairings for food, my first question is when I drink the wine, I go, is this a wine that I can sit down and drink by itself? Or is this wine a flavor enhancer? Is this something that I want food with it? Wine can serve very different purposes. For me, something that's very dry, that's not a wine I'm going to sit down and drink a bottle of it by myself. That's a wine that I'm going to have a glass with food. Something with a lot of juice structure to it, something like a big juicy ribeye. I'm going to grab the driest wine I can and pair it with this amazing filet mignon, and it's going to be lovely because every time I go to take a bite of that steak, if I have some of that wine first, it's going to kind of open me up to taste more of that steak instead of being like a hiding factor to it. It's going to enhance and it's going to kind of add to that experience.
And when you're talking about that dryness, you know, it has this drying quality. It makes you salivate, and which makes it hand in hand with food. You know, when you're salivating, you're eating it all. It's just one beautiful orchestra.
And to get real nerdy on that, the science behind that is you can't taste anything unless it's suspended in a liquid. So your taste buds, they need to be wet to work. And so having that dry wine is going to cause your mouth to create more saliva, which
That
is
is
going
super
to
nerdy.
yeah. No,
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Everyone, get a load of this fucking nerd.
Yeah,
Where does
exactly.
this guy come
No,
from?
I paid attention in science class.
No, because I remember a particular experiment in 7th grade science. They're like, hold your tongue outside your mouth until there's no saliva on it. Now put a saltine cracker on it.
Yep.
Oh, forgot
Okay.
that. That's
And you can't taste it.
Yeah. So I guess my thing is like, what are some of the basics that you would pair with, I guess, a red in general?
I'll jump in there. There's a rule of thumb, right? So typically, what we teach our servers, for instance, is red wine, red meat, white wine, fish, but there's caveats to this, right?
Yeah.
So, for instance, Riesling is always a big favorite around Thanksgiving, and we're pairing that with a white bird, white meats, that's okay, it's all good, but fish, Pinot Noir, lighter bodied, red wine, it is always acceptable, in my opinion, to pair fish with Pinot Noir.
Okay.
That's the one. And you know what? There are no wrong answers. We can drink whatever we like, and that is
Absolutely.
that's the bottom line.
yeah.
But if you want to get super technical about it, yeah, Pinot Noir with fish, with white meat, totally acceptable. That's what I would always, when I do server trainings, people ask that question. It's like, just offer Pinot Noir.
Here's a secret to make your Thanksgiving that much better. When you make your cranberry sauce, add some Pinot Noir to it, and then use that with the turkey. It's gonna be wonderful.
But so,
You
I
guys
mean-
both said wonderful at the same exact time.
And my thing is like, you did say like, we're a big proponent of do whatever you want, but also we know what we're talking about. Take a page out of the book. Like,
Yeah.
but it's also like, I'm not gonna judge it. Like if I see someone having a Merlot with fish tacos, I'm just gonna be like, oh, that's your prerogative.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even put my nose up at somebody do that, because you know what? It's
Actually, that
supposed to
sounds
be
nice.
fun.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be fun. It's when people get way let's just call it snooty.
Yeah.
It takes all the fun out of it, because it's an art form, right?
Yeah.
There are so many hands that go into every bottle of wine, and it is a concept that is made by the winemaker and his team, and every bottle or brand varietal is different. So why not appreciate it for what it is, instead of
No, but as far as
putting
like,
it in a box and saying you can only have this with this. Obviously,
Yeah.
there's certain things that will enhance.
yes,
For instance, on another note, for me, one of my favorite things to do: champagne, Sauvignon Blanc, Rieslings. You pair that with sushi or
Yes.
with Mexican food, anything spicy, because of that, the salinity and the acidity. It's just the acidity cuts through the heat.
Yeah.
So you can just eat and drink and
Yeah.
you're sweating from the heat, but your
But you're
mouth
not
feels
feeling
fine.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful pairing. It's
Yeah,
just one of my
absolutely.
favorite things to
Yeah, Riesling and sushi, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're someone who doesn't put a lot on the sushi, like you're not adding a ton of things to it. If you're going very traditional, very kind of simple sushi routes, I think a Riesling is one of the best things you can pair with it, or some sort of sparkling wine like Prosecco.
Okay.
I think Prosecco goes wonderful with sushi as well.
Speaking of which,
So, question in terms of pairing, I have a bag of Cheeto Puffs. What do I do?
what do you
that's
think?
my question. What wine am I pairing with barbecue?
So,
Yeah, what-
so what
Zinfandel.
wine do you pair with barbecue? That's actually a really solid question.
Zinfandel.
As I've talked about before, I came from the South, and barbecue's a big deal. I'm all about some barbecue, and it is definitely like something I love to talk about. What wine goes with barbecue? And the correct answer is everything if it's good barbecue.
Okay.
And then outside of that, there's a lot of really awesome barrel-aged wines now that are coming from like whiskey barrel ages, and a lot of those like wood kind of smokier. Anything that's aged, I would recommend to kind of pair those flavors. But we could also go something super contrasting. You could go Sauvignon Blanc. You could go something like an Arnier. Something that's going to have a lot of either citrus or mineral qualities to it. So you either want to be very similar or way different in flavor. Those are your kind of two key factors: compare or complement or contrast.
Okay.
If you do one of those things, it'll be great. don't be in the middle.
All right.
Be either very similar in the flavors you're choosing, or try and be as far away, polar opposite as possible.
See, and as far as like complimenting, like again, some of it's just kind of obvious, and like you just kind of feel like I'm drinking this. I feel steak. I feel chocolate.
Yeah, absolutely. Red wine and chocolate is one of this really cool thing that's happening right now. Is people are taking Merlot or Cabernet Sauvignon and dark chocolate and melting the dark chocolate into that wine and serving it warm.
I fuck with
And
that.
yeah, I was making them in Georgia and selling it
Were
for
you?
like $10 a glass using like cheap Merlot and some dark chocolate we had in the building.
I think Tim just got sexually awoken.
There you are.
I am half chub right now thinking about this.
So I remember, oh my gosh, 12 years ago when I was with a different distributor, they came in with chocolate wine. And all of us snobs sitting in the GSM room or general sales meeting, we're all
Chocolate wine.
I know, we were all like chocolatey.
And then you
And
tried
that
it
stuff
and it
is
was
still
delicious.
out and it's doing just fine. I'm not going to say the brand, but essentially, you drink it cold, it just tastes like a chocolate martini. But
Yeah.
it's great.
But
I mean,
heat it up.
But it has red wine in it.
Nice.
So-
And on that note, I think we're going to take a quick break, get set up with our next wine, and we'll be right back.
Absolutely.
I'm feeling a little shampoo effect.
Yeah. So washed out.
Are we recording?
Yeah, we're good.
Oh,
and we're
God.
on.
That
Okay.
was the first thing going into it.
Beautiful.
Let's try
We're
that
back.
one more time.
Whoops.
So,
I can cut it.
I had a question before we went on break
Yeah.
that I asked briefly off the break, and
Let's save it.
it inspired enough emotion that we felt it needed to be saved. I saw a gentleman put Coca-Cola in his red wine out at a bar. I sense differing opinions, and I want to know.
So I cringed immediately, and PJ said, well, actually, I said, shut up, PJ. The only exception with that is if it's really shitty red wine,
Which
then
it
who
might
gives a
have been.
shit? Do whatever
Exactly.
you want with it.
That was
Yeah.
my main thought.
Oh,
was,
is that where you were
yeah,
going?
it's like, hey, if he likes it, cool. He knows what he likes, and that's a brave choice. It's a bold move, Cotton.
I mean, there's so many
See how
other
it plays out.
things to drink. I
Yeah,
feel like,
also-
why do that?
Yeah.
I
Get
hate
a Captain and Coke.
Yeah, I hate
Just saying.
I hate Coca-Cola. Like I don't drink sodas ever.
Mhm.
Like it's very, very rare that
You're
you will
from
see me-
Atlanta. It's all you know.
I know.
Yeah.
This is blasphemous.
How is it not just coursing through your veins? Is that why? Are you afraid that you'll become the cola?
Well, I watched it ruin way too many people's lives, so I stay away from it.
Fair enough.
I typically stick
Ruin?
to just drinking spirits because I think soda is too hard of a drug for a lot of people to handle.
It is meth in a sense, really.
I mean, it's caffeine and a lot of sugar, and it's just like let's get you as hyper as possible. Oh, also you should feed this to your babies.
I debated getting a T-shirt that I found online that just said in bold letters, "This mama right here needs a Diet Coke."
Oh.
Why did you not get that?
Hi,
Jane?
I'm
'Cause
leaving.
I'm broke as shit right now.
over it.
I'll come back.
I'll get it for you. I would be lying if I said that in one of my 3 pregnancies I did not drink Diet Coke. Is that right? Not. Yeah. No, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure it happened.
Mhm.
By the 3rd one, I was like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be fine.
And so now we're on to the white wine, and what do we have here? What do we got?
So we are drinking a New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc. And so first we started with Pinot Noir, which we kind of did backwards, but our wine was warm. So we had to chill it down. New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, again, Sauvignon Blancs, Pinot Noir, very terroir-driven grapes, varietals. Depending on where it's grown, it really does embody that region. And for someone like PJ and myself, we can literally more than likely stick our nose in a glass and say, this Sauvignon Blanc is from New Zealand.
Absolutely.
Or this Sauvignon Blanc's from California. We can do that because it is so distinct and so different depending on where you get it.
Yeah.
So this New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, typically what you're going to find is, and I'm not knocking this when I say it because I like the acidity of New Zealand Sauvignon Blancs. I like hearing it with sushi again, Mexican food, Asian, Thai food. Oh, I'm getting hungry. But
we will definitely.
It's
do
like
it
somebody
responsibly.
smashed you in the face with a grapefruit, right? You
Yeah.
get a ton of citrus. You get a ton of acidity. It sounds like PJ's not a fan. He's already starting to hesitate and hem and haw.
We did a tasting with Bridget at the restaurant I work with my general manager and one of our lead servers. One of them is a wine person, the other is not, and they both picked up a New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc and smelled it, and they both said the same thing. And it feels a little vulgar, but this is an accurate description.
It is a real descriptor.
This is the real wine descriptor. It smells like cat piss.
And they both said that.
I was looking for the word.
She did not.
I was looking for it.
Cat pee. It is a complete descriptor. People use it, and actually, I like cat pee. I guess. I guess I do. Because I drink it like crazy. Let me move this because it keeps yelling and looking at me every time I slap my notepad. So, yeah, I'm a hand talker. And I slap the table and I use my hands. So if you can picture what's happening right now.
But no,
just imagine a very emphatic Italian lady holding a bottle of wine and talking. That's Bridget.
I feel like we should do like a porn for the blind thing where like we're like narrating what's happening with her hands right now. She's waving them frantically.
Yeah, it'll be wonderful when we get some video contribution going for episodes with Bridget, just so everyone can see this.
How animated it is.
Yeah. It is wonderful.
But no, thank you for saying it, because I was like smelling. I was like, what the fuck is that?
Why does it smell like cat pee?
Why does it smell like
supposed to?
Why does it smell
I'm
like
so used to it, I forget about that characteristic.
Yeah,
It's
so
just kind of what's there.
I don't carry a single New Zealand wine on my menu right now, other than one that is by the bottle. Because in my opinion, if someone wants to smell and drink cat pee, they can buy the bottle.
Now, what is it about New Zealand that we're going with? What separates New Zealand from everything else?
There is this chemical, and I hope I have the name right, but it's pyrazine, I think is the name of the chemical.
If not, we have the World Wide Web.
Absolutely. So pyrazine creates what's known as a phenol, which we've talked about a little bit before in skunking beers. Phenol is what gives a skunk spray its smell, and it reacts to light and gives it that smell. But also in New Zealand, a lot of these New Zealand Sauvignon Blancs are made in very, very large quantities at a single time. I don't want to go after any specific brands, but there is a very, very popular
green bottle.
Yeah, a green bottle of Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand that is made in what look basically like water towers. Like just big, like imagine
supply and demand.
Yeah, imagine the city water tower. Mm-hmm. That's what they're storing wine in, basically.
You know, if you gotta call out Welch's like that, you just gotta do it. It's okay.
Sometimes.
So I just had a taste after smelling the cat pee. They don't match.
No,
they don't
not at all.
Yeah, they don't.
And so that's actually why I don't carry a New Zealand wine. I think it tastes lovely, but I don't like the smell. And for me, in a restaurant setting, it's all about the experience.
Yeah.
It's not about the smell. It's not about the taste. It's about everything as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
And I try not to separate food and drinks or anything. It's all just one cohesive experience. And if there's anything, that breaks that experience and isn't cohesive, it doesn't work for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so
that's correct. I can't think of any cuisine that you have at your restaurant where a New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc would
really
pairs
very well with it either way.
Because what kind of food do you guys are kind of like high-end pizza, Italian?
Yeah, we're doing Neapolitan, like authentic brick oven. Like they had actual Italian brick masons come in and build these for us.
Nice.
And we source a lot of our ingredients directly from Naples, Italy, as well as local farms. And it's a from-scratch kitchen. So like
I had the Alfredo. It was real good.
No, you did not have Alfredo.
What did I have?
You had the baked ziti.
Oh, that looks so good. I was considering that one.
Because Alfredo is not Italian.
What? Then what?
Yeah.
I had an Italian gentleman that was sitting next to a lady at the bar last night, and she was like, "How are you Italian and you don't have Alfredo?" And this gentleman just flew in from Italy. He's from
Medina. He parachuted in directly into the building.
And he was like, I can tell you.
Yeah.
Well, but you find that a lot with cuisine.
Absolutely.
Mexican food, especially Asian influence.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sushi with all of the tempura and mayonnaise that they put in, it's like, what are we
Yeah,
That's sushi.
this is not sushi anymore.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so sorry, Alfredo.
But yeah, so I couldn't hear the story because I was very, very busy. Last night was a Saturday night, and it was incredibly busy in the suburbs, which is always a wonderful experience, but it's very, very busy. I couldn't listen. I really, really wanted to talk to this guy more, but he had already paid out, and he basically just like went on this tirade to this lady about like why Alfredo isn't Italian. Apparently he's from like Medina, Italy, which is the birthplace of Italian cuisine.
Yeah.
It's really very classical Italian. And he went on like a 5 to 10 minute spiel about why Alfredo does not belong in an Italian restaurant.
And what was it? You didn't hear it?
I couldn't hear it. I was on the other end of the bar.
World Wide Web.
Yeah.
Internet.
Olive Garden's not Italian.
Olive Garden's not Italian.
You know something? Let me say something in their little defense. You know, I mean, everybody. I'm sorry. Olive Garden is a easy, quick soup, salad, breadsticks.
Oh, absolutely.
Awesome, done. Right? Like, I'm
Yeah,
not
get
gonna
that
complain
pasta
about it.
pass.
But they do send their chefs to Italy to train
Yes.
them.
Oh.
I don't know how authentic it is, but they do offer that to their chefs,
Right.
which I think is very valuable. You know,
I mean,
training
for
process.
us in Chicago, we literally have a neighborhood called Little Italy. So it's
Yeah.
like,
Yum,
we don't
yum.
really have an excuse.
Yeah, but I'm also trying to impress my grandparents and not spend more than $50.
You can absolutely do it. There are some wonderful like mom and pop Italian places.
Caramio, have you ever
Yes,
been there? Oh my
Caramio.
goodness, those guys are amazing.
Yeah.
I just
It's
like
the chef comes
Little
out and
shout out.
walks around and like there's
I've been going there for like 15 years. Oh my god, am I that old?
See, that's why I need
You
to.
look 28.
Cow,
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think that's why I
I'm
need
trying, especially today.
to.
I get all these compliments and like Waka's shaming it, and I'm like just doing it, man. Okay.
I think that's why I gotta date an Italian girl, because just the idea of a little grandma going like, "I'm gonna feed you until you fucking explode."
I do that to people. I'm like, eat, you know, and I make way too much food all the time. Every time I have company, it's just
fill me full of chicken
So,
cutlets.
I'm worried we're gonna run out. People are like, dude, if the apocalypse happened today, we're set. You know, we're fine.
Oh well, and that's the
Slow
cool
it
thing about a
down.
lot of like Italian dishes. You can prepare them en masse. Like you can make a ton of pasta real quick.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. This is true stuff.
And because you can store so much pasta in a very small space.
Unless you're Anthony Anquira, you insist on it being hand cranked.
Fuck that guy.
No, he's correct. He is correct. If you ever have like handmade pasta by some little Italian lady,
Oh, I'm sure it's delicious.
oh my god.
Yeah, but I don't need handmade like pasta by some like Insta Twink underwear model. All right.
Hey,
What were we
What-
talking about? I missed
Queer Eye
that.
for the Straight Guy.
Yeah, the new
does
Queer
he
Eye
have a place
reboot.
in-
No.
No.
We're talking about the actual Netflix show.
They had an episode where like one
Where
of
they were
them
making-
made like homemade pasta, and like it's just upsetting because like everything prior to that point was like, we're just gonna put a little avocado on it and now it's better, and you're just like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Do actual shit. And he does actual shit. Like, no, you go back to the avocado.
Where's
where-
that avocado?
But also like
It's lengthy, that process, but it's so.
But so he had showed him like he showed him a very quick way to do it. There's simple pastas that you can like just make at home real quick.
yeah.
You got some flour, you got a rolling pan, or you got
Yeah, but you
a
gotta
rolling
let the
pin.
dough sit out, and then you've gotta like roll it, crank it, and then let that dry out for a while before you
If
throw
you're
in the
doing it
pot.
like authentically,
Yeah.
there's some quicker ways to do it. If you're just like trying to hand crank a pasta out real quick,
It's so good.
yeah.
Let me talk about things I hand crank.
My ex-husband used to make handmade pasta all the time, and I think he still does it. And I'm kind of like,
It's the
Hey,
yeah.
man.
I know you hate me, but can I come over for dinner?
Can I
have some
pasta?
So we talked about this with the
I'll make
red.
the sauce.
I want to ask you, Bridget. So what are kind of the basic? Well, there was a word you used that started with a V.
Varietals.
Varietals of
Varietal.
what?
That
Varietal.
means the type
The
of
type-
grape.
Yep.
Okay.
Wine is identified mostly by the type of grape.
Got it.
When you hear Chardonnay, that's the grape. When you
Yeah.
hear Cabernet, that's the grape.
Okay. So what are the varietals of white that we're gonna be that you'll generally see across
Generally
the board?
on a wine list, okay, we've got Chardonnay, we've got Riesling, Sauvignon Blanc.
Mhm.
You're gonna have
Pinot Grigio.
Pinot Grigio, which I just always forget about because Pinot Grigio. I mean, for instance, you have the Tramin
Right.
Pinot Grigio, which I feel like is a step above as far as Pinot Grigio is.
Right.
More authentic, but that grape is,
Yeah, I have
quickly moving its way towards the White Zinfandel category.
Yes, I have Chris and I have Trauman.
Those are both good.
They both do very well for me. They're both wonderful wines. But it is this interesting split between wine drinkers. There are white wine drinkers who drink it because it's grape juice, and there are red wine drinkers who drink it because it's sophisticated. And people don't realize that white wine and red wine are basically the same thing.
Yeah.
And when they think that red wine is sophisticated and white wine is the party girl wine, it's funny to me.
Oh yeah, you tell me, that Burgundy, or a Sancerre.
Oh yeah.
Forget that. I mean, that is one of the most beautiful, well-made wines ever. So,
I mean, I think the general benefactor in that stereotype is Moscato.
Yeah, we don't talk about Moscato.
Why don't we talk about Moscato?
Don't you have the Toretto Moscato d'Asti?
I have a Moscato d'Asti,
which is
fantastic. Now, when we talk about Welch's grape juice, imagine a Welch's grape juice that can get you drunk.
And it's actually refined.
Yeah, I'm pitching it in a very lowball method,
but the beauty of that one is that someone who can appreciate a well-made Moscato d'Asti will be like, "Wow, this is amazing."
Yeah, key characteristics.
When you do a tasting with someone who knows nothing about wine, they're like, "Oh my god!" Every time I do a tasting with it, they're like, "Oh my god, girl, this is so good." I had some woman tell me that a Riesling was too sour. And then she had the Moscato d'Asti, and I was like, well, here, then try this.
Yeah.
And then she was happy. So,
Toretto Moscato d'Asti, if you can find it, it's absolutely wonderful. It has an amazing packaging, really cool bottle design. So Moscato d'Astis are low alcohol content. They're usually around 5.5 ABV, which a lot of you are used to seeing that on beer. The average wine is 13%. So this is only 5.5. So it's much lower alcohol content. It's sparkling, which helps to break up some of the sugars that are in it. It's a very sweet wine. So Moscato drinkers are looking for a sweet wine.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to carry a Moscato, it's going to be very good. And so for me to suit that person who wants a sweeter wine, a Moscato d'Asti is going to be the perfect fit. And they're going to be able to drink 8 of them and still not be drunk.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I did want to kind of add, for me, I don't drink sweet wine. I don't really
get the appeal.
It's not my thing.
Yeah.
I can appreciate it.
Absolutely.
If it's well made, I can appreciate any well made wine. And on that note, that is my most dreaded question when somebody says, "Oh, you're a wine distributor. What's your favorite wine?" And then
because what sells and what I like to drink are two very different things.
Well, where are we? What are we eating? What are we celebrating? What time of year is it? There's so many varying factors.
This is my Thursday wine.
Yeah, it's not like someone where it's like, oh, what's your favorite beer? And they can be like, Bud Light. I mean, well, one, that person's wrong, but...
Yeah, one, that person is wrong, but two...
Yeah, there's such a chemistry that you guys explained about the construction of wine that I feel like that's a very unfair question.
You go to wine country and you see the production behind how this stuff is made.
It's amazing.
And it gives you this unbelievable appreciation for what goes into every single bottle.
Yeah. If you're a listener out there and you haven't done some sort of distillery, brewery, or vineyard tour, go and do it. It's an amazing experience and will give you so much of an appreciation for everything that goes into it. And you'll get to meet the people that actually make this. And they're making this because they love doing it.
Yeah.
There's true passion behind it.
There's absolute passion
Unless
behind it.
Unless it's like a mass
Yeah. And then once you start realizing that, hey, there's people making this, and then those people, those personalities, you can kind of you get a sense of them
and their
in their product.
And just everything that is. It really is just such a huge production.
It's a big machine.
So much love that goes into it.
I think next week I'm gonna go volunteer and help pick some grapes for a local winery.
That's cute.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
that's cute.
Yeah.
Oh, let me circle back around though, because we lost track. Moscato d'Asti.
Yes.
I personally don't particularly like to sit down and drink it.
Yeah.
However, if I do, and I feel the same way about late harvest wine, which we can discuss in a second, I would much prefer, because people call it dessert wine because it's sweet.
Right.
For me,
appetizer.
You put that with some cheese,
Mm-hmm.
appetizer, a big cheese charcuterie tray, or,
Yeah.
however you want to pronounce
Or
it.
in Italy, an antipasta
An
platter.
antipasto. Totally. And that's where it has its place in my book. You do late harvest, which is literally means late harvest. They allow the grapes to sit on the vine until it starts to raisin.
Okay.
So you can imagine what kind of juice that yields, right? It's thick, it's
Yeah,
syrupy,
and
it's
not a lot of
sweet,
juice.
and there's not a lot.
So they have to
it
use a
always
ton
comes in
of
half
grapes.
bottles.
Mm-hmm.
But it also has something called noble rot on it, which is called botrytis. And they allow this fungus, right? It's a fungus to grow on the grape.
Yeah,
and
it's
it
like a
leads
bacterium.
to this, what I think is heavenly aroma.
Oh, absolutely. It's wonderful.
Botrytis is one of my favorite aromas in wine, and that will actually make me drink sweet wine because I love sticking my nose in the glass.
Mm-hmm.
But you pair that with stinky cheese.
Oh, yeah.
The fungus from the botrytis and stinky cheese, you get some
gorgonzola.
gorgonzola.
Yeah, gorgonzola, blue cheese,
That's
a Gruyere, or all
all
one.
of that. Stinky brie.
Yeah.
Oh,
If you get a brie that's maybe got some like seasoning added to it, something with a little herb to it.
Yeah.
It's absolutely wonderful.
So I would challenge listeners, if you like sweet wine, instead of doing it with your dessert, try it with appetizers. Try it with cheese.
Oh, calamari and sweet wine.
I've never tried that.
I'm
That
not a
sounds delightful.
I'm not a calamari person, so I might have to
I'm a
give that
grilled
a shot.
calamari.
So we talked about pairings, and I the general gist I'm getting is that as far as pairings go, white is going to be fish, poultry, cheese,
Salads.
lighter.
Lighter fare, summertime.
Anything that you think lemon would taste good on.
But on the flip side, a nice big Chardonnay in the winter is, and here's the thing, people got OD'd on Chardonnay when they literally started throwing wood chips into the barrels to give it that oaky, and then malolactic fermentation, which is the butteriness quality that you get. And that's made by native yeast, or just yeast in general. Like the big productions, they just throw yeast in there. But it gives it that buttery quality. But people just really OD'd on it. It was like too oaky, too buttery. But you get a beautifully balanced California Chardonnay with, some French, American oak, nice native yeast, malolactic fermentation. And I swear to you, I will drink it slowly, and I'll sit down in front of a fire, and it's perfect.
That's nice.
For me, I love all well-made wine, but I just naturally go to cold wine.
Yeah.
That's, for me, what I like.
Mm-hmm.
I will definitely get down on a red wine when I'm...
I think we're just, as a country, used to drinking something very cold or very hot, and not really in the middle.
Not a lot of room temperature liquid.
A final question, and then we'll get to Tim's story. What would you, as just a connoisseur of it, what would you guys pair white wine with that you wouldn't necessarily expect?
I want to interject. My opinion doesn't matter here.
Coca-Cola?
You just said you're not. Actually, no, this is a good point.
With the knowledge that you've gained today, what do you think you would enjoy a wine like what we're drinking right now?
Cappy.
What do you want with this?
Typically I'm really drunk, so it's going to be Taco Bell.
Well, I mean, that kind of fits into what Bridget said earlier,
in
right?
a sense, yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't call that Mexican food, but...
Okay, so low key, no joke. So I think what would work perfectly. So since I've started my diet, I've been trying to eat salads more, and this specific blend that Jake got is like a little bitter for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been doing like a little bit of light ranch dressing, but then putting hot sauce in the ranch dressing too.
That's a thing.
So
sriracha.
Yeah, so I feel like because of like the lightness of the salad, it will cut into the heat well enough that like I'm still getting the profile of the hot sauce without like dying. I feel like this would probably be a good one.
I think I would put this with like a cheesecake.
Bitch. Cheesecake, bitch.
I'll fuck with it, yeah. Yeah, I'm that cheesecake bitch.
So for I guess then now the experts, the people who know what they're doing.
I would definitely say no to the cheesecake.
I agree.
I would do.
Maybe
How do you feel about that?
Cheesecake Barolo. A super dry, like Chianti. Valpolicella. Like a Rapasso would go great. A big Jamie Cabernet.
Now, if you're the
So I'm
Cheesecake
just
Factory
stupid.
and you're getting like one of their fancy key lime pie cheesecakes,
Then you drink it with
then-
Heineken.
Yeah, or you just have a coffee.
Yeah.
And call it a day.
In all seriousness, I think I would put this with, and this is something that I've thought about in the past. I once made a pasta with a friend of ours, Addie.
Yeah, absolutely.
And-
Addie works with me, amazing cocktail bartender and a wonderful artist as well.
She's also a babe.
Yeah, she's amazing
Love
all around.
her.
She'll be on for a really interesting episode we've got planned coming up.
Yeah.
What
So
to drink during your
we
satanic ritual sacrifice.
we made this
close.
pasta, and it was the recipe was called a Tuscan white bean pasta.
Yes.
So I feel like had I had like a nice white to go with that, that would have been real
You're
cool.
on the right track.
Yeah.
Well,
so it's like a
and-
pasta that isn't with a red sauce.
Well, and there's this saying in your industry: "What grows together goes together." Right.
Okay.
Mhm.
So you're thinking about an Italian dish.
You're wanting a
Italian
Toscana. Tuscany
Arnay?
is, Arnay, absolutely with that dish. Arnay is going to be a very mineral forward wine. So it's going to have a lot of earthiness to it, some really good salinity. So a little bit of like salt content.
I'll have to make, because like I made it once, and then she's made it once or twice, and it's a really good pie. I'll just have to make it. But so we'll wrap up here. We'll get some drunk stories.
Oh, bitch. I do have a wine drunk story, considering a champagne situation. But so when I wasn't living in Chicago, I would come up to visit my friend Tony very frequently. He lives in Boys Town, right on Belmont, and a lot of the times we would like go out with the intention of going out, and it would just then evolve into like us staying in his living room and drinking whatever cheap wine or like
Sounds good
shit
to
we can
me,
get from
right?
like Walgreens.
Yeah.
But it's the most drunk I've been in recent history, where it was right before New Year's this past year, so December 30th, 2017. A really fun night. I drove him back up from the suburbs. We hung out at his apartment. He's like, "We're gonna get fucking slammed." I'm now realizing that maybe I shouldn't have used his real name because we did a number of questionable
We
things.
can bleep it out, right?
Yeah.
How many
Yeah.
Tonys do you think live in Chicago?
Yeah, but
My friend
he'll
Tony.
know. Yeah, but when I say that we got high on poppers and ate a ridiculous amount of Pringles and then drank 2 bottles of it was probably the most drunk I've been in a while. We were already drunk on 1 bottle of champagne when he looks over at me. He's like, "I haven't eaten all day,"
Too sad.
and then I realized, fuck me either. So we need to go find somewhere to eat
right now, before the drunk hits.
at this very it's like in an action film where like they've got the time bomb and you see the timer and you don't know what like fucking wire to clip. So we're walking to this restaurant. I'm also like disgustingly poor. So like we just end up splitting like a plate of poutine at this restaurant together.
Would you say the synonym for that is comedian?
Hey, I have a normal person job.
You
now.
do. Your job is awesome.
No, it's not. No, so then we split a plate of poutine, and I work for an online school. It's not great.
Fine, it's fine.
But so we split a plate of poutine. Wow.
Wow, that's a tongue twister.
Oh my god.
Split a plate of poutine.
20,000
Seashells by the seashore. So we split a plate of poutine. Fuck. I think this is
Take
my
another
different story.
drink and say it again.
Yeah. So fuck. I just need to get to the part where we throw up in his bathroom. That's all I have to get to.
Come on, keep going.
So,
Got it.
So
we've discovered Tim actually likes wine. This is the happiest drunk Tim has been in a long time.
Hey, and we have Riesling in the freezer.
Oh
And
god.
I got to
You don't
drive
like that
after
more
this,
than
so I'm gonna go ahead.
You bitch.
It's okay, Tim, I'm taking you to a bar after this.
No, you're not.
Oh yeah, and we're drinking all day.
Oh god, I have homework to do.
Let me ask that one back.
So short version, we go to a restaurant, we get some poutine, we eat it, we walk back. We then decide that it's a good idea on the way back to stop at the same Walgreens we stopped at before to buy another bottle of champagne. And his justification, like, we're not going to spend New Year's together, we have to get drunk now. And
You're
I'm like,
right. That sounds totally rational in
no.
the middle of August.
oh, no, exactly. So I'm just sitting here and I'm like, okay, like, we're going to do it. So we get another bottle of champagne. We start drinking it. We also get, like, spicy cheddar sour cream, like, Vintner's chips. And then
Solid
normal
choices.
sour cream cheddar Vintner's chips.
A wonderful local brand of chips.
Mix them into a bowl. And the entire time, we're basically taking pulls. Like, we were pretending to be classy fucks. and we had them in glasses at first, and it got to the point where we were just taking pulls off of this bottle of champagne. Like we were maybe just like, well, we were really, really drunk. And all I remember after a certain point is it was 11:30 or 12 when we were sitting in his living room, and I flashed forward to like 3 a.m. My face is in his toilet, and it's just a lot of orange. So not
Orange.
great. Yeah, from all those chips.
So speaking of chips and local brands,
I'm scared.
when we were picking up the wine for today's podcast we got going on right now, I spotted a bag of chips that blew my mind, and I want to see everyone else's reaction to this, and I'll let you guys read out what is on this picture.
So the deep dish pizza Lay's to me sounds
It's
Giordano's.
Specifically Giordano's
Yes.
deep dish pizza Lay's.
I'm fine with that. What I'm not fine with is the ketchup. It was just straight up ketchup flavored chips. That made me Earl
Well,
in my mouth.
Jake
I
is
feel that same way about like when they release pizza Pringles.
so Jake's immediate reaction to
Mom
this
diet.
picture was to just shake his head violently left to right for 20
I
seconds.
think he's got something to say.
I
He's
am
here.
of Canadian descent.
Oh, I know where you're going, and I'm
I-
so on board with this.
I am
don't.
Poutine fry.
I am spoiled
No.
on chips.
Yeah, the all dressed. Oh my god, they are the
can't
best
Come
chip.
back next time.
They are the best chip in the world. Lay's makes this
Lay's
flavor.
Ruffles is my
Ruffles. Yeah,
personal
Ruffles.
What
preference.
is it?
Ruffles all dressed, and all dressed just means that it's like all the spices that
It's like
they.
in everything.
Yes and no. It's almost like a barbecue, but it's not.
It's got ranch too, or sour cream and chive.
Yeah, there's sour cream and chive to it. There's like some maple. There's like
There's a
it's-
whole lot of shit
there's
going on.
all dressed. It means they took a whole
never buy
bunch.
chips.
But if you can find these chips, get them. Do whatever it takes. They are worth it.
Ruffles, give us money.
And on that note, that's a great way to end. As PJ said, if you like what you're hearing, always like and definitely subscribe and rate and review.
And
Sacrifice a goat to the podcast.
But also, please share us with your friends. We are not currently paying for any sort of marketing, advertising. We entirely want to be, something that you enjoy. Please share it with people you enjoy. We
And
really
enjoy
do.
it responsibly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
we do.
Drink along with us at home.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, as long as you're at home. You're
Have the complete experience.
Yeah.
Walk into your local bar and bring your Bluetooth speaker and put the podcast on, and then order whatever it is we're drinking.
And be the worst person in that bar.
And we'll call it there because Dad's got a jet to another show.
He's like, get.
And
Out of my
then, but yeah, we thank Tim
Bye,
and Bridget
folks.
for being here. Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Thanks for having us.
Glad to
Bye.
have you, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.